Welcome to the lovely HP community and the 5D collective. We have a bit of a late HP show depending where you're at. It might not be a late one, it's an early one, but when you see the lovely yellow orange, which actually is quite nice because of the sacral and the solar plexus, both very important for any person who actually wants to get things done. And they are very, very good at being balanced when you have a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. Why? Well, because you consistently nurture self-regulation with mindfulness practices, because you have mindset skills, because you are able to not only contain sensations, images, behaviors, affects, and meanings. All smart therapists have taught me in more than just that word. Thank you, Peter Levine, Dr. Daniel Siegel, Bezel van der Kolk, Pat Ogden, and I can continue, but basically, if you're new, FYI, the 5D collective only navigates the love frequency, which is why we're going to have a little bit of food for thought and stories. Our new moon is coming up, and I shared a couple shorts, and you can watch them. Total 4 minutes. This one, we don't know how long it's going to be. But karma versus dharma. Yes, those are other words that I had heard a long time ago and still now. And as a purely, very, very pure consciousness person, because embodying pure consciousness is not something that we need to define as divinity in the way that some people, 4D, pseudo-alive individuals who disregard going to get their actual clinically dissociative state to a therapist. I'm not kidding. So when I see something that I've been shown in my expert trauma in-depth courses, yes, thank you, Bethany, I believe it's Brand, and Ruth Lanius, because I'll never forget when they showed me what pseudo-aliveness looks like, and I'm like, wow, 4D mystics are all over that one. Wow, we even have Savior Complex, spiritual bypassers, they're all over that one, Patrick Chahan, Boca Raton, and Not Going to You. So when I meet children, those are human beings who I call children because we're all children. Mine, she's right here. Difference is she's led by a grown-up, which is me. It's called a self-regulating, non-traumatized human being who doesn't project her mood and says, you! And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about what envy, jealousy, and whatever else spite is, according to one Gary Vee, great man out there, authentic for real. Because there's a lot of people that think that they could copy and emulate him, and there's a difference. And anyone who's authentic will notice the difference, because there's something called following the lead or the leader, and then there's something called, oh, I'm a mystic. Did I mention that? I'm not only a content creator, podcast host, and mentor for the real grown-ups, and I mean that. God keeps chiming in. I don't judge. No, I do judge human suffering because I don't know it. There you go. I can't understand it. I admit it. I don't know how to cry myself a river in a way of using my temporal junction. And I don't think I need to be in any way, shape, or form ashamed of it. Actually, I'm quite proud of it. But apparently, anytime you stand in your ventral vagal state and you got any little bit of somebody in front of you or more with what are called exiles, protectors, shame, they don't like that, which is why I don't need protection. No, there's no energy vampires or dark auras. There's envious, jealous, spiteful assholes. I met them as an 11-year-old and I didn't use bad words at the time. Now I'm a grown-up. I can tell you when I saw them in one of my most recent hypnotherapy sessions, they didn't look like devils or demons. No, they were active children. I was too. And I'm like, why are you being mean? I can see that you're pretending to be mean to pretend to be strong, meaning your anger or whatever the fuck. No, I know how to explain it better. So what I saw were children pretending to be mean so that they wouldn't actually present to me their tears. I don't have a problem presenting tears because that's actually how I uncharge. Also don't have a problem being called a crybaby or any of that, but I am a woman, so perhaps that's what it is. I definitely feel blessed to be a woman, physically speaking, and with the gender stereotypes, I do not like them, but I did do a bunch of different sociology experiments in my class. And I remember mine, and I remember those of my colleagues and classmates. So yeah, we did find that with women, the way they talk to us is different. I can't say I don't appreciate it, because when I hear boys who think they're men, yeah, again, I don't like gender stereotypes, but I'm definitely happy that I have a woman right here, because I don't appreciate any kind of... really, again, what is it called? Oh, I was rejected at 4 by boys because I didn't want to go right around the block. And my mother said, you're serious because you want to sit them down and read. And that is still today correct. I like to learn things. And that's from smart people. So when I spot those who pretend to be authentic, I can spot them. FYI, when you have secure attachment and you're non-traumatized, this means you metabolize all the emotions that come up. So that's why I'm a mentor for the ones who want emotions in their life and they don't want to cry themselves a river, meaning they don't want to sound like that Zen master who has laundry or anybody else who's still dragging a pain point around, which is why God keeps telling me not to judge human suffering. As I don't think of it as good or bad. No, I stopped doing that. You do cocaine and you're a lawyer. That's bad. No, I was already not doing that. I was like, you're a hypocrite. Ha ha ha. They laughed at me. I'm like, sure, I'm not going to get him as a lawyer or the other one. They actively are delusional because, pathologies, anyone. So with attachment trauma, what I can tell you is it's not fun to know of people who think that they're healthy. They actively aren't, because mental health means that you don't want to live pseudo-aliveness for the rest of your life, but that you would recognize it. You don't want to time jump. You want to get out of having fragmented self so that you can remember better, because, there's the bright sides of neuroplasticity. So Ruth and Bethany made me very well aware of how they handle anybody who says, but we don't have to get integrated, do we, in my courses again. So that means they're aware of the word and of what it takes. And I'm going to say, of course, I understand that the therapists will always support those who are coming in so that they don't run away and never come back, because that's how much work it takes. But I do know that if I want to talk about myself as a lover, as a smart person, SMART, I'm just going to present it, that I'm going to know, thank you, Patrick Tian, that cowards who don't go and heal, they can leave alone the ones of us who talk about trauma. And then they can also stop pointing fingers and actually, making it sound like they got it perfect. Nobody has it perfect, but we do hold accountable. So Patrick Tiahan, he helps childhood trauma survivors who need him and want him. I let you know that I hold every single human being accountable, and that if they don't want to lift their 2 hands and 2 feet like the little choo-choo train, I don't have to do anything, because that's it. They won't be at IHP, that's for sure, and that's what I'm trying to ensure. I don't do let me allow you to be lazy. No, I do. God keeps telling me not to judge human suffering, because I'm thinking you can do it too. Do what? Use your brain, bilateral, vertical, overall integrated brain. Then you can learn, Zen Master, how to stop doing the rumination and actively do this muscle workout with the feeling of sadness, anger, fear. I've had panic attacks, but apparently when you tell somebody that you know how to work with self-regulation, they get in your face and make it sound like you're doing something wrong. So again, confidence seems to not be something people like. And I don't understand why then are you going to tell me, I did it all by myself. You see what I did? Did what? You cannot be by yourself. You actively don't know how to self-regulate in the absence of another human. You will have learned how to dysregulate and modulate based on unfortunate business. Yeah, which is why, again, lazy people, Lazy. Oh, I have compassion for authenticity, and that's why I honor Patrick Tiahan, and I honor Kylie, and I honor everybody who's doing the work. Anyone who's whining and pointing fingers, that's the 4th step to healing a trauma charge. So it's not 2 wrongs make a right. No, it's karma hitting karma. And I know they name their children Dharma, and the hypocrites, I still to this day, oh, poor unfortunate souls, I need to leave it alone, because God keeps chiming in. And so does Akash Source, Anima Mundi, and anybody who wants to use any kind of word to basically, insult? I met teenagers again. They're the same assholes I see, and I do not appreciate them, because, again, I'm too serious. And so I've learned how to have a good time with idiots. In the meantime, when they tell me that I'm an idiot, I'm like, yeah, sure I am. Definitely. I'm the best idiot of them all, because that way I don't have to actually do anything. The tree of life. No 2 trees are alike. Thank you, twin. I know what conflict and intimacy is, because I got disowned, and then my mother explained to me the truth, because, see, that's what happens when you have a grown-up who tells you it's not true. What happens to children who get sent to bed, and these are real stories, without food, with a human being parent who then, when they come out starving, we hate. And it reminded me of Peter Pan and the movie Hook, when they're eating and they're pretending to eat, but this is an actual real life thing. And so these children grew up, at least one of them got themselves to therapy, and people want to talk to me about Lucifer, and I'm thinking, no, that's not Lucifer. some human being actively needed a therapist, they didn't take accountability, like Patrick Chan will point out, they didn't send themselves to therapy, maybe they didn't know, I don't know, but in the meantime, those children came out starving, and they pretended, and they made up this whole thing, and those poor children then became grown-ups that somebody else wants to judge. Now, we do have laws, so again, we have a village. Awesome. And compassion doesn't mean we give you pats on the back. So idiots don't know what compassion means because they haven't actively taken seriously neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health, none of it. Apparently they think they know everything with Freud and archetypes and yesterday's news. And when you meet idiots, please say hello to them because again, we're in the future. No, we're in the present, and science and technology is not a threat to any of God, integrity, or traditions. Again, polyamory right here with polyfidelity. Why? Well, because it's nice to have actual love. People who know how to be love means they know how to be their actual self. So with that being said, thank you. I want to make sure we have the right people here. That way they can go find, pats on the back somewhere. The answer of true love does not live in fear frequency or biochemistry. And when Tara Brach explains in her meditation guidance how to actively get out of the fear frequency and biochemistry, you got people like this Zen master telling you can't be in the enlightenment frequency. It's impossible. I'm possible, and so are you. But again, let me not let you know, the ones who pretend to be in this, they don't understand. I'm a mystic, so love, walk like an Egyptian, consciousness, it separated itself to experience itself. Yes, that doesn't mean it's going to destroy anyone. Actively, the only people who think anyone needs to destroy anything are the ones who have their faith in humanity broken. They obviously forgot God created us, and they're obviously hypocrites. And inconsistency is the first red flag for anyone who's smart enough with attachment trauma education. Cusco, what's up? What bullshit are you presenting to your brain today so that you do you not notice your inconsistent mood swings? How are you still not in a therapist with Pat Ogden, with EMDR, child parts work, and waiting? Oh, wait, they need to be a good one because there's plenty of those who are not. So again, those of us who are of a village that care, we're not going to be pointing fingers. Luckily for us, we have different number of people in our lives. And with that being said, a lovely quote from Sadhguru today. The fundamental nature of jealousy and envy is a feeling of inadequacy. If you were really blissful, you would not be envious of anyone. Thank you, Sadhguru. Now, the thing is, it's a lot more in depth than that. So when I have smart therapists like Bethany Brand, again, and Ruth Laney, it's not the only two, but in one of mine, I think it was with Bethany. No, it was Ruth. So one of my NICABM courses, she talked to me about envy. And this because I get to learn, because I do self-help personal development. So that's still very important for me to know how to talk to somebody about their nervous system and their child parts and not say you need to hold. No, you will have been reparented if you come to do personal development and then say, I do it. And that's not somebody who comes to me. That's somebody who just says that. And then they follow the Zen master who gives them a green pass to be a Zen master, without knowing any resiliency skills with mindfulness, mindsight, or mindset, and using their capacity of the infinite higher human conscious potential. Yes, it's called restorative embodiment. So again, the little choo-choo train made it. I want to share, there is a man, his name is Robert Sapolsky. He's written a book, Determined. He says we have no free will. So in one of two, no, I have two things. Either everyone here will already know, yeah, I want in, and great. And those who are potentially not going to be here. Again, basically, he gives me a way to let you know that someone's going to be able to do this, and they've been determined. My genes, I guess. I mean, I can go there. I'm good with the genes thing, because why not? At least somebody can get off my back and leave it alone. Oh, also, yes, I pretend to be a happy person. Let's keep it going. Oh, I'm traumatized and hiding it all over the place. So when people don't accept that people know how to handle their emotions in an effective, mature way, I just figured people would know how to handle their nervous system. No, I now know the word nervous system. So again, jealousy and envy is explained as stories are different from all of these beautiful people who are helping people who want to become whole. The way that it's handled is you do remember that you were not given this same opportunity. So it is okay because you are experiencing something that actively is being processed as we interact right now in this moment. because you're in your prefrontal cortex and you are allowing sadness, anger, fear, disgust, surprise, or happiness to come forth. So that's how it works. It's not they're trying to imprison anyone or that they're trying to make you get rid of your emotions. No, they're actively going to support. Who's they? The good therapists support anybody who wants to get to their whole self, become an integrated brain, and then keep moving forward if they want. The ones who want to pretend that they know what mindfulness is and self-help and personal development do things like this. Everyone likes those who are, pretending, but. And I'm like, who likes fake people? Only teenagers, that means adaptive child part people, who are actively saving still themselves. And so what hasn't worked for them, that's why modulated is not impressive. They're actively making it sound like they've got the key. I have the key to the whole world, and without me, I'm a mystic. Without me, humanity is doomed. Wow, ego man. You sure know how to present yourself every time. Every time I see it, I'm like, whether it's a savior complex or spiritual bypass or Patrick Tian, they don't want to come heal with you. They just like to make schools of their own so that they can keep perpetuating. No, well, I mean, really, I have another story for you. Yeah. Where's that lovely rabbi? He taught me about different personality types or something like that. So if Robert Sapolsky is right with determined, so nobody has free will, and other people think we have no self. Maria's right here. I'm a whole verb. So yeah, my child parts, they're all okay. I do not give a shit about anybody's opinion of my way of conceptualizing things, which is why I actually speak without a problem. Somebody says, you offend me. I'm like, comedians can't make jokes that don't allow everyone to laugh. So I'm so sorry. I guess we can't be friends because I don't know how to talk however it is you want to talk. Political correctness, when I was doing political, that's the only place I'll use it. I'm not in business right now. I'm socializing. So if I'm in business, if I'm doing politics, which I'm not going to do, if I'm on, the screen, what else? So professionally speaking, that's when I'm going to want to learn to do the lingo. Socially speaking, I will not be able to know what all 8 billion people want me to say, which is why I'm not going to bother trying. And don't give me stereotypes because, well, only stupid people who have the angry certainty are using superficial idiocy. So I know when I meet the teenagers, because that's exactly how they wield it. You should have said it this way. You could have said it that way. You know what? You're too serious. And so I really just play it by ear because, again, I'm not looking for approval. I was just talking. If you need to keep correcting me, obviously we're not really talking, are we? Excuse me. You're confusing science, spirituality. So again, idiots like to do things like that, and I don't do anything with them except for notice that I don't perceive insecure people because as a teenager, I met all the envy, jealousy I could, and really I got to 19, I'm like, hey God, so all cowards, I don't know what to do. No, I do know what to do. Jesus told me to forgive. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. The kingdom of God is within you. My brothers and sisters have great potential. Thanks God, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep being Maria. And you can't prove kindness. So if somebody says I'm crooked, thanks Terriel, I already know how to be self-accepting, which is why I don't need you. But I love that you're out there helping couples to actually become real couples, because really, there's a lot of couples, they're not even remotely close to being couples. And that's because, they're trying to make something work because they're still saving themselves and they don't want to admit it. And they also don't explore their reactions. Yes, at all. So if we don't explore our reactions from our past, thank you, Patrick Tian, and the impact they have on those around us, the messy disaster, because for him it's a messy disaster, just repeats, because he's taking ownership of his childhood trauma. I take ownership of Maria's emotions and thoughts always, because I've been pointed out my tone. Again, I have a twin, so I know how to do conflict and intimacy to the extent of where I will back down and back off and can look like a coward. I really don't give a shit. The minute you are trying to control, I'm already just letting you tell me, what am I today for you? Great. Awesome, Cusco. And that's one thing you learn how not to do. Because the teenager's like, stop doing it. Well, you practically want me to lie. I mean, you keep interrupting me. I interrupt you too, but I'm not trying to tell you how to talk. You're trying to tell me how to talk about my stuff. And that's where, yes, the 3-year-old, she's right here. This myself. So the ones who sound like they are enlightened tell you that they don't navigate the frequency of love. That's because they feel that death is easier than living, which means their body is still not theirs. They don't know how to regulate their nervous system, and that is the pseudo-aliveness that I saw Bethany and or Ruth and both on screen as they did something so that we could see how to help dissociative disorders. And I said, hey, excuse me, I only do personal development self-help. What happens if I have this? Don't worry, you'll know if you need us, but it's good that you're getting attachment trauma informed. That way you can understand what's happening. Yes, I can. And when people talk to me about spiritual events like shamans and they tell you, I can get rid of 20 years of therapy. No, you can't, because like Janina Fisher points out, and again, Patrick Tihan and many, many more, those maladaptive patterns are behaviors that you are hooked on. And it's a fantasy stage and it's some implicit memory. Like, this is the part. So when I hear of children to this day, and I understand it takes a village, yes, a village of healthy self-regulating human beings, which is why it's nice. The 5D collective are that. The other ones can keep pretending that they know what they're talking about. In the meantime, it's not Lucifer. Nope, it's just dangerous to have no emotions. And that's for the sympathetic nervous system and dorsal vagal, and the ones who again will tell you it's easy to die. I love being in the stars, out of body, not realizing what? You have a narrative for yourself. I understand that you don't want to get out of it. That's fine. So spiritual bypassers, again, and savior complex people, their past is living in them. And it's not that they are actually out of being children, and they are still children of God, which is why God keeps telling me to leave it alone, because again, do not worry about your future. Do your present well, and the future will blossom. Thank you, Sadhguru. Yes. And basically, at the end of the day, everybody can become truly aware and enjoy every bit of life only if you are constantly aware that you're mortal. Thank you, Sadhguru. And the only way that's going to happen is, what was it, Ruth Lanius? Only if we feel grounded to this earth can we protect ourselves. Yes, because if you have boundary-less, or you are basically blocked off, and when I have said boundaries, for the ones who don't know how, walk like an Egyptian, yes, they need territorial. So yes, I do know when people don't notice, no, they do notice. They will know that they are out of body. So they disregard their health. I don't have anything to say to somebody who is slowing their progress down by basically just talking on a screen, showing me in the minute that you are really not doing the work. So what I do notice, authentic healing is something called, I'm going to keep my prefrontal cortex online, because otherwise you're just reliving the experience in and of itself, which means you're not doing much. In fact, it's pretty sad, because basically you're just doing the same thing. And in fact, it's karma wheel. There's a difference between dharma and karma that I was presenting in the shorts, and no, it's not proven. Nope, it's Maria's explanation. I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together. So again, this is not proof of anything. Nobody's proving, well, some are, but it's with quantitative data. So anytime a human being wants to give me that, I just shut up and let them talk at that point, because I'm an academic. I do know what I will look for and how I will look, and it won't be in a conversation. First, I will go and gather everything. Then I will get my panel of experts, see what they've met. Then maybe if I have enough time at a certain point, I will bring it all in, and then I'll have the conversation eventually, though. That's how it works. So that's how research and analysis, if people don't know it, again, this is a conversation. So if I don't feel grounded to this earth, if I don't have a good center of gravity, I can't protect myself because I'm not on solid ground. And when I have gotten frazzled, the most recent situation is because my body still has, like anybody else, moments where it's like, oh no, oh no. Okay, so the dancer of true love doesn't live in fear, frequency, or biochemistry. The fear biochemistry is when a person is alert, Dr. Daniel Siegel's hand model, and so you're using your amygdala and you are not integrated. You are offline, or you basically are in your trauma brain, which is why the past is living through you. Your reactivity is not yours from your grown-up version, your functional adult. It's an inner child that has 0-1 attached, panicky, 3-7 shame, submissive. First 3 years implicit memory, who knows what the fuck will have happened, which will bring you to have behaviors and fetishes, by the way, which is not funny. I mean, really. With all of this depth of knowledge, I was having a very good conversation with a smart human being who that is part of my village, and that's a healthy self-worth person who does know how mentorship works in a real way. So I said to them, I said, you do realize what you just described to me, I bet you they're going to make it into kinky fetish at one point because they won't even know where it comes from. And now that I know where it comes from, I'm just sick to my stomach because I'm thinking that's just, wow. Anybody who wants to tell me that they care about their self and doesn't take care to learn about their child parts, you are a liar. I won't be able to tell you that because, as a therapist said, Maria, they have to want to come to us. So you can't do anything. And I say, I know, because there's a bunch of people since 2007 where I have been ascending and they continue to ride the karma wheel and not walk like an Egyptian. So with that being said, I am mixing it up. So food for thought, this isn't a one thing. And I have some lovely cards because, again, the new moon is coming up. A dancer of true love doesn't live in fear frequency or biochemistry. So one, we've talked about empowered lovers, empowered couples, empowered. That means that they actually know how to take awareness, accountability, and regulation skills for themselves. And the cosmic heart is really beautiful. Let me read to you Rumi. So Rumi, anybody know? And he is, I don't know a lot about him, but I do love what I get to find from this beautiful oracle deck. And when I think of the new moon, intuitively speaking, for the 5D, again, it's always expansion. 4D, they just keep repeating the same stuff over and over again because they're in love with their stories. So they don't know how to be their empowered feminine yet, which would mean that you know your nervous system, your embodied brain. Again, they don't know how to be their empowered masculine, their own father, mother, father, their own mind with bilateral integration. Okay, and they therefore don't know how to be their starborn eternal child baby because they did not take ownership of their orphaned parts and their shadow, and they think that living with those shadows in the screen is something called being badass. So we have shamans for those, and they will help them to live a life of meaning and not connection beyond the solo self. They're self-centered. That's right, I kept wanting to read. So the personalities, here's the 2, 3. We have the Isaac, internally oriented, the Abraham, other oriented, and then the Jacob, which is a balance of the two and not concerned with either. Thank you, Rabbi, for this. So when I meet the ones who are blamers, they're the ones who, I did everything for you, codependent type, and then they will become the squirrel from Cusco land. So that's unhealthy self-worth people. They don't know how to be functional adults, or they're functional child adult and they don't want to go to Patrick Chan. So remember, that's not a lover. That's actively, it's easier to die than to be in my body. No. It's easier to be in my body because I know that I'm mortal, and when I will die, I will miss my family, my loved ones, everything, every single breath. I have had one dream where I was actively, and these are not dreams for those of us who are mystics, we expand through astral travel, through bringing different dimensions of us together, and we don't need to get lost in the story because, again, the 5D collective is not going to be dressing themselves up as our ancestors. We are actively pure consciousness, meaning a human being who is a whole self, so pure because of that capacity to know. Maria has biases, implicit, explicit. She has child parts. She got a family. She got books she's read. She's got movies. She's watched. All of it. I don't deny my humanity. My soul is simple. That's the other part. The soul is simple. Yes, that's why when someone says it's hard to navigate it, I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You don't know how to navigate the frequency of love? Don't you know where it comes from? You must have not learned about the human body, huh? That's the oxytocin gene hormone. Do you like my smartass attitude? This is Maria being a smartass. I'm not going to continue because seriously, when I hear the teenagers, I'm just reminded of being booed on a Friday evening for asking about homework, and then I'm reminded of when I'm in classes with people who interrupt asking for shortcuts, and I'm like, don't you know there's no shortcuts to life? I got taught this. I was a kid. I mean, God gave me 2 hands, 2 feet, go. So I'm just saying, it's not hard work. No, please leave it out. I'm not lifting actual, rocks from the floor. It's not hard. I'm just talking right now. Actually, I live in an era, and for me, I have a master's degree, so I get jobs where I get to be at a computer. Oh, I love it. I don't want to be in the sun, while I'm, I don't want to do that. I'm happy that I don't have to. No, please. Anybody who wants to do that, go for it. So I'm just pointing out, some of us know what we want in life. I do like to have comforts, and I'm not going to say that I don't. And how do I keep myself healthy? I try to by doing, work out. I'm not as great at it because I have stuff from my grown up. See, this is when you know yourself. So people that know themselves, they're not going to tell you, I have the magic potion. The ones who have a magic potion. Cinderella, Cinderella, na na na. Yeah, that's awesome, which is why I also find it quite humorous as they completely do not honor our ancestors. When I think of what I got to grow up with, again, Catholic Christian, for those who don't know, I had good catechists. They all made me feel very, very, very protected with God and angels, and they made it very clear what the whole evil business was. And you know what's nice is when I can share with someone who completely has disdain for that, which is something called a bunch of different people don't make the entire Christian community of religion or religion in and of itself. Christian Catholicism, the entire human beings who have faith and are part of these groups that are flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable, and we don't have a charge with a little fist. Because some of us are smart. I did political science. I know history. I know what organization. I don't do conspiracies. I don't follow Wendy with any of it. You don't understand, do you? No, you do. I'm just saying, if you bring to me the medieval times and I know the discourse because I've heard it a million times. In fact, why aren't you Buddhist? You should convert to Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist because I made my choices. But you should. And when people want to, again, just keep crapping on something that they will have an issue with because they don't like that they didn't have a choice, I get it. I don't have an issue with it because I love my upbringing. You have an issue with it. How about you allow yourself to take the charge, bring it over here, and recognize what hypocrisy is? Because you asking a person to convert who tells you once and then twice, and by the third time I'm repeating myself again, obviously I didn't make it clear. No, I did. You just didn't want to hear what I had to say. For what? Oh, I'm sorry. Internally oriented. Isaac. Martyrs and superiors. Oh, you think that I need to live life your way. And so those are two codependent types. I can spot them like a hawk. I don't care which one it is. I'm just going to keep repeating myself. And that's why I get told I'm so serious. So again, a lover, yeah, a lover doesn't mean that you get seen as one, by the way, but you know how to walk like an Egyptian. So this cosmic heart, beautiful, beautiful. Let's read. I was dead, I became alive. I was tears, I became laughter. The power of love arrived and made me everlasting power. Yes, it only arrives if you know how to, again, use the oxytocin gene hormone. Securely attached people with prefrontal cortex engaged, not pseudo-alive. When you're alive and grounded. Why can I recognize when I'm not in the frazzle thing? Because I know when I'm grounded like anybody else can. So an out of body doesn't mean it's easier to be dead. No. It means that you have gone over your window tolerance. Now you are actively offline in a way that is not positive because you're going to bump into because that's not how you're meant to experience your humanity. Now that you want to maybe say it, that's fine. But what you could do is expand your window of tolerance so that you don't have to go into that. Yeah. So what happens when you meet people who actually don't want to expand? Now I've met them. I have some people who have done with me journeys, and one of which said, you know, Maria, since our first session, right now, it seems like I'm getting more familiar and it's not as like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, because you're embodying more of source, Akash, however you want to call it. Your light body's expanding. You're raising your frequency. You're becoming enlightened. Huh. Well, I liked it better before. And that's because you were navigating a lower frequency. Guess what happens when people want to continue navigating that which is not healthy self-worth or resiliency and restorative embodiment, and therefore they want to do their little sympathetic dorsal vagal distress, basically harm to themselves, because that's how it works. Distress, not you stress. You're allowing yourself to not continue to expand and enlighten and become more of yourself for real. But you like the Reiki and you like the Akash and you like the shaman stories and you like to, what was it? The stars, the same person. The stars. Yeah, I love stars too. Not want to be with them yet. And when it'll happen. Hopefully I'm really, really old. No, but why do you say that, Maria? Because I'm happy living life like a human, like I'm alive. So soul doesn't have a story. The 2-year-old of you does. I'm trying to point out, soul is a frequency. So when you hear somebody accentuating that soul is not here to experience itself in love. No, it actually can happen. If you don't want to learn how to navigate your brain, that's okay. That's why determined gives everybody an excuse so that they don't have to feel like they're doing something that, what? Oh yeah, no, there's no wrong or right. I mean, I was taught it's your life, not mine, your life, not mine. And God keeps telling me not to judge human suffering because he knows exactly how I feel about it. God, I'm going to say it. Yes, masculines. It's not men. No, it's half-brained people. And I'm a grown-up now and I get to curse. Don't waste my fucking time because I have 24 hours. I don't want to be around donkeys. Thank you so much. And no, I can't say that to people in their face because my mother taught me if you can't say something nice, say nothing. And that's why I'm an annoying child, because I'm actively all of me. You cannot take all of me, because even if you reject me, I'll be like, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. God told me to thank my brothers and sisters, and you're not Lucifer, because there's no monster. I never got eaten up alive. And when people think that's not what Lucifer, no, they depicted a very horrible monster. I don't watch horror movies for that reason. I don't put shit in my brain. Why would I waste my time with shit in my brain and low frequency? Again, I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. It is very fun to be inside a body that does know restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating in ventral energy. It's not one emotion. I get to, all you need is love, be anchored in love again and again and again. And when people think I'm denying shit, no, but I am choosing selectively how to use my brain. And there's a bunch of subject matter experts and subjects that I know nothing about. Why would I waste it again on other things? I have interests, don't you? So every one of us has different interests. And as a 4-year-old, I still was serious. So, you don't die different than what you began, right, Robert? There you go, Robert Sapolsky. So you do have a personality pattern, temperament. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. And that's why the flexibility stuff still makes a difference. Because while my personality patterns and temperament are here, as you can tell, I have grown more flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. And when somebody calls me not my full name, I don't go chase them down and repeat to them again and again and again, my name is... because I learned how not to since I get disregarded and I was annoying. So I was able to say, well, you can't do anything about people wanting to call you a different name, Maria. Are you really going to keep battling this? Is it worth it? No, it's not. That's how it works as you get to become equanimous, calm and centered. Thank you, God. Discerning, wise, good judgment, loving. Thank you, God, for being that. And you can call it Akash, source, whatever you want. Divinity, not like that. We use all the words, and that's not for anybody who's still here, because we don't really care that there's people who don't like that we use words however we want. Because some of us know how to be enlightened with our brains, and we actually follow it's not a story, that's the point. So karma is different than dharma, because karma, we all will have that, which is our implicit, explicit memory. We will have imagination. We have things that come with us, that come from our childhood in the fetus with the genes. And again, I could explain it all. No two trees are alike, yes, but the soul is. Thank you, Hippocrates. Yeah, so one soul. Thank you, Bessel van der Kolk. But the trauma charges, they don't taint the soul. That's why, again, soul is pure love. Means that you're comfortable. It don't talk about tears, laughter, or torture in ways of... Yeah, no, anybody who talks about anything like that in ways that is enticing has a story with pseudo-aliveness and doesn't recognize that the only reason that is something that actively is appealing is because that's how you unfortunately learned to self-soothe in one or another unhealthy way. So when I hear fetishes, kinky, whatever it is, and more than just that, people who care about themselves, and I know them with their therapist, work to disengage completely from that which they know is an unhealthy self-soothing mechanism. And one of the most amazing things is when you can talk to people like that, explain to them the psych education, and say you're not addicted to... No, it's not an addiction per se. It is an active, and here, let me explain to you what 0137... Here, let me bring in the neutral aspect of what actually began as something I'm so frightened to say that I need to do something as a 01-year-old. Now that you know you are a 1-year-old of your own self and that you're not doing it with the words that the other people gave you, now let's see. And that is something that people who care to heal, I want to talk more. That's who IHP is for, people who know what this is. So it's not funny. And it's not a story. And anybody who doesn't recognize that describing any torture chamber shit in ways that sounds amazing, obviously you don't remember that our ancestors did go through it. But we don't need to criticize every person that comes from a religious background or that still wants to hold on to. No, we have a good relationship with all religious backgrounds and faith because some of us are spiritual. So spirituality is for those of us who actively say, yeah, woo-woo, pseudoscience. What do you want? Scientists, 97% of what is out there is unavailable for all of you to know. That's why you got colleagues who are going to prove. No, they want to disprove reality. And I don't actually do the disproving. I just like to know that we have science and technology that's going to get us one day off the planet because one day the sun will go out. And I had a very good conversation about that one once. I have seen everything. I have no fear. I have the heart of a lion. I shine like Venus. Again, a lion. Yes, the lion. The generous lion, or the lion from the strength of the 8, the major arcana. And the lion, like the Lion King, with his father taught him about the circle of life, and not in a way of saying the hyenas are bad. No, we all keep the balance. And then when they did the movie Tattoo one, right, we had to make Scar out to be the bad one, or however it went, and the hyenas, and they added human elements, the ones who have their faith in humanity broken, which is why we're gonna go off the earth and go and explore. Why don't we just stay here? Because some of us know that God made us, and apparently you don't know that. I come with spirit, or I can use science with Neil deGrasse, as he points out. Let me share. So people who appreciate life, they don't have to be spiritual, they can be sciences. That's why a true lover, again, dances not with fear or in the biochemistry. Again, doesn't ignore that they can be in a better spot for themselves. And I do know of people who are saying, why do we have to heal all trauma? Why would you want to do harm to your own body and stay in a traumatized 0-8-year-old version? That makes no common sense. The only reason you're saying why not is because you don't want to do this. Isn't it better to just say, I don't want to heal it? I'm going to say that would make me feel bad. I don't want to heal it. I want to stay because, see, Robert Sapolsky, thank you for your book, Determined. I have an explanation. I'm not going to judge my brothers or sisters. I'm not God. I learned how not to do the casting of stone again because that's not good manners. I'm like, so sorry. And those who say, no, but you should. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. Not really. According to some human being, it's dangerous to have no emotions, and the modern day therapists are going to imprison me because that's how they feel. And I bet you, I know, there's like millions of people who follow that lady in a suit. You can better bet the man in the suit, and there's other people in suits that go against every single bit of mindfulness, meditation, yoga. They even spread rumors about it bringing demons. So anybody who's talking in favor of not healing trauma basically has a group. And there's the ones who think they know how to heal trauma, and they actually do more harm than good because they're not healed. And when I see them, cheerleaders and jocks, what are you internally and other oriented? So that's why I was presenting to those 3 personalities, because for all I know, there's always going to be different groups. Because again, we're not one frequency. Consciousness split itself into at least 2: love, fear, positive, negative charge. Not positive or negative with the words, the way people want to say, but there's going to be a negative outcome. Only for those who don't know how to see through and get the silver lining. Only for those who want to cry misery in their brain because they've decided that they don't want to be able to bring neutrality to duality because they think that means that they have no emotion. Instead, no, it doesn't. It means you've learned equanimity, and you're going to continue to learn it, and discernment, and love, and you're going to be in that which is a securely attached whole self. It ain't boring. It's just not the fantasy stage of being addicted to the adrenaline and the up and down, up and down. Yeah, no, I don't do the roller coasters. I got so happy as I moved into my equanimity. I'm so happy for my own body. And no, I would not switch it with anybody. And no, it's not like wine, said Guru, but I understand since you're masculine, you have a different story also. But no, it's something called pure bliss, pure love, pure ease. It's all your child parts not being afraid. It's a brain of a human who says, yep, I'm a whole. I got my child parts. I just don't talk about it all the time because, I didn't grow up with needing to. Since I didn't deny Maria's vulnerability as an 11-year-old, I said, I can be mean like you all. You're being mean because you're afraid. I'm not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid to be angry. I'm not afraid to be any of it. I don't know. Why are you still being mean? It doesn't make any sense. Vulnerability. Neil deGrasse. 100 billion total and 1 in billion trillion trillion, he's saying odds that we would be reborn in the future. But also he makes it clear that even what has come to be Earth with the space and Big Bang and all that, so the fact that we are on Earth living. Now I'm going to say, as a person who is not only an earthling and a humanist, meaning that I know about our globe, I've always thought, yeah, we're not the only ones out there. Though, no shit, sure. I mean, really, it makes me think of when our species thought that there was only, like, what was it? The Earth revolved around the sun, or the sun revolved around Earth. So ego always has a way of shining the spotlight on itself. Even movies. I mean, I used to watch some of those action and, adventure and a lot more. Now I try to just be in smart stuff. But my point is, it was pretty common sense to me. We're not the only ones. I mean, what really you think? So while our ancestors didn't have education and they lived in caves, we do. I mean, I know I did and I still do. So I'm just saying, it's not hard to think and know that, yeah, there's other species. In fact, when I've thought of it, I'm like, I bet you they're more advanced. And of course, the ones who have their faith broken in humanity are like, oh, you don't know. Maybe they're evil. I don't know, but I know God, and I'm pretty sure his creations, and or again, Akashosaurus is not about evil, Knievel medieval, but you're obviously still afraid of any living thing, which makes me think that I'm sad for our brain wiring and the education system that doesn't address that. Thank you, Neil deGrasse. It's not necessarily the educational system, is that your brain will hone in on that which is negative. Your first 3 years of life are implicit memory. So if you don't understand this, that's why people who do the whole control, yes, and they do the life's unfair bit, yes, no cosmic justice, life's unfair, history is not dead facts set in stone, the past evolves by how, where was this? This is somebody that I'm watching on YouTube, but I don't remember, so don't quote me, it's not mine. The past evolves by how we address it, and reconciling the past with the present is hard when we can't agree on how to talk about these things. I bet you this is Sam Harris. Yep, that's who it is, Sam Harris. It is our beliefs that will dictate what we will do next. It's a big think video. You can go watch it if you want. Neuroscientist and graduate of philosophy. So that's who the no cosmic justice. When I hear it's unfair, I just think of kids and teenagers and charges. And so again, everything in life can be unfair if you want to look at it that way. I don't feel that it's unfair to me. I mean, I'm sharing with you all something amazing today. It's called All You Need Is Love. It's called that all of us have different stories. And again, from that body, let me read a couple more quotes. So we have take me as I am, a phrase that expresses the desire to be accepted by God despite one's faults, but also it would involve more phrases. Summon out what I shall be and set your seal upon my heart. And so again, when you do know that yourself is a beautiful, beautiful, eternal child, that will be because you have a functional child adult. So you know that we're all imperfect and flawed. That's the part. And so we're taken as we are, not because we're just going to continue, and this is where it's not religion or faith that has people being unkind. Again, those 11-year-olds that are part of my story, I saw through them like a hawk. And today I don't look at it the same way because I'm a grown-up. I don't care if you have orphaned parts. I ain't your therapist, and I ain't your mama, and I ain't your papa, and I don't need to actually do anything, because what I also know is that, again, it's a village that it takes, but what it takes most of all is you. So if you don't desire to become kind and loving, we're not here to become. Don't talk to me about the soul then, or consciousness. You don't know of it. If you did, then you'd know. So when Sadhguru says, just become blissful, I'm like, nah, that's not really how it's going to work. But the yoga, the mindfulness, the meditation, that all helps. Ventral vagal toning exercises and integration of the brain. However, when those child parts come up and whatever else comes up, if you don't have a person who wants to heal and become a whole person, a whole self, they won't be doing anything with that, because they're not taking in the core narrative, relation, and soul self, because they've disregarded that the one thing that their mind is mental. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, sure, there's a bunch of people who write, but when it comes to spirit and source and God, it's a frequency. It's not a story. It's a frequency that has neutrality, because it's a frequency that, well, and I say neutrality, but then again, no, it's a rainbow. It's a frequency of a bunch of different things. It doesn't have the word destruction. It doesn't have, that is all created with humanity and history and more stories. And when people have that brain, again, the left wants to understand, and the right is with the darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But the right is where what is in here comes up. So if you don't own your body, you don't own shit yet. And if you think your stories are actually the truth, no, stories. That's why when you ask me what's a truth, what's a belief, one, thank you, Sam Harris, for that one quote on, if you are grounded in reality, you know that any of your beliefs, cherishable or not, could be falsifiable. Number one. Anybody who doesn't actively take that in and say yes, please don't be back here, because realistically, again, I'm an academic at heart and at mind, and anytime somebody can't fathom it, it means you haven't heard one thing about what the brain is. And I don't need that, because a community is built so that we can expand, and there's a bunch of different beautiful conversations with people who are, thank you, Essene, Gospel of Thomas. Jesus might have said it, might have not. We don't know. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Watching people die from the inside out, Dorian Gray, self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart, ain't funny for a person like myself. So I don't want anyone who's lazy, and I don't want anybody who gets things and takes it personally, because it's all personal. If you want to ask me, every single human being should be held accountable for regulating their nervous system in their ventral vagal state. And that's it. That's my answer. And no, I didn't go about my business trying to prove shit. I came to become attachment trauma informed, and it's pretty straightforward when you're learning from the smart ones, because they give you the data, and then they give you more options. And then they tell you, I don't know everything, but this is how much we know. And you know what? Discerning mind is really great. Not skeptical in a way of fighting me. No, a discerning mind is awesome. Yay, ask me all the questions you want. That's how any professional or academic will be when they are curious, open, accepting, and loving. And anything different, well, there's a little sword fight going on for the ones who have egos, and they play what? The little dick fights? Yeah, or vagina fights for all I care. Really, teenagers are the most idiotic of all. And again, I'm not talking about the actual teenager. I'm talking about the adaptive child part. I do not have time for you masculine, because you're wasting it. Commitment. You don't know how to commit. You don't even know what your purpose or passion is. You are not whole and one, and you definitely do not know what Jesus stood for, and that he made the impossible possible, not only Jesus. All of those who do know that, again, we come, some of us with spirit and some with not. And it isn't a competition. Science and spirituality come together. And the day I found out that those of us of spirit were not needed, first I said, aw. And then I said, they're all healed. That means that I'm going to get to have fun with the ones who want to be their true self, because every single person can go and become their own one from the heart. And that's when they will also meet a true lover, because now that they love themselves first, they're not in a cave in darkness, which reminds me of Plato and Aristotle. I need to go find that one, because that came through as I was getting prepared for our episode. And so again, it takes a village to create that which is a lovely family, lovely herd, and that empty room is your brain. So the brain protects you. That's why it's not the brain that's faulty, or the body. And anyone who's an empowered feminine will know. In one of my demos, I had a thing going on. I don't want to go through all of it, because I also want to read to you some more quotes. But the one that was walking me through it, great therapist, great man, beautiful. I got to have a course with him and certified educationally. I have one more pending. But this was another one where he was part of the equipe of instructors. And he's asking me if I'm mad at my body. Are you angry at your body? I was like, no, I'm not angry. My body is not doing anything wrong. I'm confused, I said. I don't understand why it's not listening to me. But that's the word I used. I said, I'm confused, because that's the feeling I felt, was confusion, not anger. So I wasn't frustrated. I wasn't in my sympathetic. And I wasn't, I can't do anything. I wasn't in my dorsal vagal. My active prefrontal, and or however I'm going to bring it forth, was like, I wonder, who, So I was confused, and not in a way of being angry at the body or being sad at the body, simply lost, like what's going on, why is it happening? And so I didn't make any assumption. That's why neutrality is the land of truth, because you can use your prefrontal from the brain. Again, this is all self-help, personal development focus. New moon coming in for 5D, it's amazing because we expand every time ascension energies come about. The ones who don't, that's not my business, because I'm not actually here for any of them. As Hippocrates shares, father of medicine, he says, men will think of epilepsy as divine merely because they do not understand it. In fact, today, it's not divine, meaning that you're not being punished. Epilepsy, that's what it was meaning, not that there's some kind of, divinity for you. And so with that being said, let me go back to another quote. There is one more, but we might just close it on out. And for those of you who have been here, so the fear frequency or the biochemistry. I said frequency because we will consistently have the emotion of fear, because again, the bears are stronger than us, and any animal really, and any natural disasters is where if you are a person who is alive, you're not going to want to die. You're going to want to help. If you're a person who gets anxious, then you don't know how to handle change. And I get very anxious, not very, but still to this day, my subcortical area, so personality patterns, temperament, attachment. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, for your PDP framework and his interpersonal neurobiology framework, which I am still finishing up that course, but I have had enough of it to know how to tell you with him. I got to identify something that I already knew about myself, and that I got confirmation the last time I got a little all frazzled. So out of body, no, Maria doesn't have that. Panic attacks was definitely in my body, but I can tell when I'm getting frazzled because I will begin to get clumsy. And so I have a light version. That's why I was saying those who have something that is a bigger version, you would think that with all the explanation, they would make sure to stay in that therapy with a good therapist until they are grounded. And that's why I mentioned Ruth and Bethany, because they both, with their dissociative disorder course, train other therapists. Again, inform. I have another course with Dr. Daniel Siegel. That one was on dissociative identity disorder and disorganized attachment. And I am more in favor of being supportive of you can integrate. No, you don't have to. But I'm going to explain to you the psychoeducation. You also don't have to be afraid. So that's where the village of those of us who do care is going to be. We don't need to give a green pass or red pass. We don't need to demonize or not demonize. We don't need to do any of stories with demons, because it's very explainable what decentralizing of the self is. Thank you, Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist, and what and how our species has evolved. And there's even mysticism as a subject matter, empirical mysticism, and scientists look into spirituality stuff. So the fact is, just because science gives us a way to say the brain and your mind and yourself is using stories, it doesn't mean it's stories. But is it, even if, let's say it was stories, this is the part of where, again, if you have faith and you feel it in your bones, which is where I'm coming in with God, you can't make me a non-believer. You can keep on telling me why you, man, woman, they of science, will tell me your dreams are just dreams. Your dreams mean nothing. You can keep talking all day long. I'm not proving Maria to you. I don't need to prove spirituality, which is why in classrooms, when they call me woo, we are woo-woo. That doesn't mean anything to a person who is a self-agent. You can only be a lover if you are a lover of yourself, which means I take me as I am and God takes me as I am. If you're of spirit, if you're not of spirit, then you'll say, I take me as I am and I'm going to be a respectable human being. Like a Terrio, I'll accept that I could be crooked to you, because a person that is atheist and has no belief in anything, which is what makes me laugh even more, because they'll keep talking to you about evil. They'll keep talking to you about all this shit. In the meantime, again, there's no point in me addressing a hypocrite, because the minute you tell me you're an atheist and you don't believe in anything, and then you wanted to tell me evil always wins, you just have faith broken in humanity and you didn't go to therapy. I don't need to talk to you. I'm going to let you talk because your 3-year-old didn't get attention. Anima mundi, the soul of the world, all that is. It is epitomizing the principle, accept all, reject none, and that's what an integrated brain, restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, mystic, in the enlightenment soul age group, functional child, adult can tell you. So again, stories, we don't have fear frequency or biochemistry for that which is conceptualizing thoughts and emotions. Physical fear, yes, a physical safety. God keeps telling me I'm physically safe, so there you go. Does it mean it's true? Well, dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. Please, asteroid, don't hit me. So I am in favor of investing in science and technology. That way, Maria can be safe. Look how selfish I am. Yes, I want to be able to get off this planet. Oh, look, I want air, water, and food. Yes, I do want children of the future to not have to fucking die an excruciating death. I think that I'm on the right path. Don't you? Don't you? I think that the village is going to do okay. Well, we don't know. Meantime, again, you want everybody's well-being or just yours? I want restorative embodiment. I would say that I want everybody's well-being. But fancy lady in her suit thinks that, modern day therapists are holding you back. So, again, perspective. Oh, I don't do effective realism because I'm not an idiot. And anytime I meet it again, I use words like this here. I don't use them in front of people because I got taught not to. No, I'm 4'9". They're going to beat me up. No, really, it's not something that I can do because I'm in the presence of an interaction and I will have a relational field. And as an empowered feminine, I'm going to be a guitar string, so are you, and I'm attuning to you, and I'm going to perceive all your child parts. And then I'm going to perceive, and there's a bunch of other things that take place. But really what it is I accept all because, again, I'm not God. So only those who are actually not of integrity or humility and or of equanimity, discernment, love, and smart, and that do know God, they obviously, so any person in flesh who forgot who God is, or Akash story, don't matter, again, the word, but I know who it is, you're going to be big shot. You're going to play like you think you know it all. Now I'm in the presence again of a 3-year-old who has a 16-year-old, and Cusco's got 5 hands, and I don't want to deal with any of it, so I've just learned how to have a good time. Excuse me, you're confusing. No, I'm not. But I didn't say it that way. I said, no, I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together. I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. I'm a Reiki master, Akashic record reader, and I am a bunch of things, podcast host, content creator, again, self-help. No, because I'm a mystic too. Okay, excuse me. So maybe I said it wrong because my men friends say I don't know how to speak. My women friends say I'm too serious, but I don't do I'm too serious. No, I'll try with different words. This is what I do. And no, because see, and he shows me Buddha and quantum physics. And I'm now like, you know what? I've learned from Empowered Masculine that we're on the same page. We're just coming at it from different angles. So because I can't explain myself, obviously in an effective way, I won't try anymore because I know my weakness. And since I might be, let me hear what you have to say. That's how it works. It's not, oh my God, they interrupted me. No, because again, the one and the ones and the no ones, I'm Maria, the heart. So secure attachment people don't look for approval from anyone. And when someone says, I think you should change, you say, excuse me, we've been together for 4 years. You knew that I wasn't going to change. I told you this, like when we first started dating, like this was an old boyfriend at the time. Now he's family, please. Some of us, we don't do. I still want, no, it's a brother, it's family. Again, the village grows for the 5D mystics and mindfully living, loving people. We're not like, oh, petty. Yeah, so I don't know about those urges that people talk about with exes. It's actually something called the fantasy stage. Push, pull, up, down, go around. So yes, rocky roads, not interesting. That is actually modulated embodiment, and that means they have trauma time on a wheel, and that's yucky for a person who knows how to use the entirety of the heart and making the impossible possible. Again, thank you, Jesus. So I'm God, Holy Spirit, and every single else of the stories. But again, I know my foundation, the reason that I said when I got Claire's, shit. So human makeup, awesome. Every human can do it. I won't be welcomed by all. Thanks to writing The Ways to God with the other 8 amazing spiritual authors, I get to keep talking about God, and I got to be brought back to being able to share my story because I have a good upbringing. And again, God is discerning equanimous love to me, and I have a subjective experience, and I have a right to share it. And it's not telling you, and if somebody thinks that somebody's telling them to change them, then I'm going to say nothing to them, but to you I'm going to say, I guess you're that manipulable. I guess you actually don't own anything inside your brain, because that's exactly how I'm thinking, and I guess you probably follow the 7 to 14 who are not charming to those of us who are smart. So whenever I hear anybody who thinks that somebody is trying to change their mind. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works with me. I was a teen, and you're trying to, if I tell you what to do, you don't do it. You know, you're right. You are totally right. I have been a hypocrite. I am so sorry. I will stop doing that. And you can't prove that you're not trying to change somebody's mind. So you learn to understand that people, no matter how we turn it, I'm not even a comedian. So yeah, I don't bother with any of it, because again, if you think you're that vulnerable to being changed your mind, obviously you must not assimilate information, look it up. I don't know, but you don't own yourself. I do. So you can't change my mind. You can expand me. You won't change me. Although people will want to say that we've been changed. Yeah, I'm not a 16-year-old anymore, but really, I'm a whole self. I didn't lose any of it. So again, when people want to chime in and tell you who you are, you let them. That way you can find out how they live life. And that's why you're going to know the difference between a dancer of true love, because they won't do that. And they won't be, again, in this fear frequency or biochemistry, because otherwise they're going to be a jackass. And a jackass is very uninteresting because they stagnate. And then they become repetitive. I'm repetitive too, which I was pointed out, but it's in a different way. I'm repetitive because I talk about topics that are of interest. So I have learned, thanks to people who tell me things in my face, okay, so these are the topics I usually like to talk about. I'm really involved in it. I get really excited, and I'm not very great at being multiverse. How about you decide what we talk about? That way, I'm pretty good with most of it, but I don't do pop culture, meaning yeah, trivia. I don't, but I'll try. Trying is good, right? I'm putting in the effort. Or we can sit in silence. I'm also one of those, even though that is a little bit still hard for me, but I can do that. Okay, so as you've heard through the grapevine, I love to be mindfully aware and accountable and regulate, and to allow all of us to have a good time. And no, I won't watch a horror movie with you. Nope, I won't watch that. Nope, no. I have a hard time. My body picks up on all frequencies, and so no. Yes, sure, I'm closed-minded. That's fine. Yeah, it's okay. I don't. So there are things that we say no to, and that people will not accept. It's okay. Simply put, Anima Mundi is the living soul of the world in all its multifaceted, multidimensional layers, bonded together by loving cosmic forces. Diversity is celebrated, multiplicity is honored, and nothing is denied embrace. Constructs of separation dissipate into the wonderful mess of shared consciousness. Anima Mundi is the link between the literal and the imaginal, the rational and the mythic. It is the connective fiber that makes life meaningful for those who enjoy it, obviously. There are those who don't enjoy this, and they're usually doing something different, and so they're consuming different type of content. They're also living life in a different way, okay? So not everybody has the same interests. Through Anima Mundi, it will awaken the unique light within, and then there's a capacity to witness how the light contributes to the radiance of the entire universe. And you can sense yourself as we're all critical notes, but in the cosmic orchestra, you'll be able to perceive it. If you're in our 5D collective, again, you're cool with this. And then we have destiny is altered as you hear the enchanted melody of all living things. I'm going to say your destiny is yours. And so you alter it every day with the small decisions you make. However, if you don't have a awakened eternal child with your whole self, what we're gonna have, which is why I did the shorts that I did on the new moon messages, metabolizing emotions and thoughts, karma and dharma, that's the 1 minute short. And then the karma versus dharma, not good, not bad, let's explore, and that's a 3 minute. Okay, so as we close on out, again, a little bit of stories, a little bit of this. I might change up the title depending, so that people who tune in have a better idea about it. And maybe I'll save that one for another time, like specifically on lovers. But when you are consciously aware with all your child parts healed and you know how to self-regulate, that's doing dharma, because you're consciously aware. And I will use our lovely Sadhguru's quotes, because he has one on dharma, and it's a very good one. And then for karma, he has different words for that one, but it's not necessary. In the gist of things, it means your subconscious and conscious, which involves all those child parts, as Pat Ogden will say, you play out your trauma time. As long as you're not working with sensory motor, somatics, EMDR child parts work, you won't unlearn what are physiological states as our lovely Stephen Porges points out, and Bessel van der Kolk, people who don't believe it, they don't have to. Again, I'm not here. The ones who don't believe it, they shouldn't be here, shouldn't activate sympathetic. But my point is, I try to make it very clear. I'm attachment, trauma informed, and again, self-help is for those who have a self. I didn't realize that to be yourself, people needed to first have their whole self. Now I know, and I don't do trending topics in the sense that it's not something that's popular. I don't even want to use essentially a lot of technical verbiage, like with this mystic stuff. I do it the 5-year-old way. Dharma is not a teaching, philosophy, or belief system. It is based on clarity of vision about life here and hereafter. Thank you, Sadhguru. You only have clarity if you're using your prefrontal. Otherwise, you'll be in your trauma, brainstem, amygdala, whatever you want to call it. And I've met plenty of, again, lack of self-aware, accountable, regulating people. So I don't let me tell you about your karma, because they have self-fulfilling prophecies. They consistently know everything about everyone and all. So again, then they know everything. It's not interesting to be talking with somebody who's like, I know everything. But then again, it is fun to get to know them. And so with the lovely village, what we get to do here at IHP is have a village of self-empowered, enlightening people who care about being their true self and who care about leading a life with healthy self-worth and with healthy counterparts. And that means that we can set an example for what it means to be actually people who care. So you don't need to negotiate, and you don't need to argue, and you don't need to do any of that roller coaster buddy shit, because you're not a roller coaster. People who think that the roller coaster is fun, again, you have no idea. Your body is more than just the sympathetic dorsal vagal. And that's because, again, if you're on a high with a biochemistry that is addicted to this frequency of dopamine and whatnot, there's that biochemistry of fear. And that means that you're okay with unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, and that your body and it being in distress is fine with you. Secure attachment gets defined as boring by those who are attachment coaches who have gotten earned secure attachment. So I don't know what it's like to need to get earned secure attachment. For me, it's the other way around. That's why don't give me shit to watch on TV. I don't want it. And I do not enjoy lower frequency, but it doesn't harm me either, because I know how to self-soothe. I know how to self-regulate because I learned how to. And that's thanks to me creating resiliency in my restorative embodiment by using my higher self. And so it's a work in progress. Mental, emotional, physical mastery. Again, we all choose what we want when we get a whole self. We don't choose to have a pause self. That's why I love you, Patrick Tan, for being out there and helping anyone who wants to heal their inner child to know that they can come to you, and that they don't have to forgive anyone, and that they will be okay. At one point, they'll have their whole self, and then they'll be able to join us and, have the presence. So thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.